So in our modern world, everyone wants to retain youth forever, because for them, there is no such thing as life with a capital L, which we've spoken about in the previous flow. What is life about? That doesn't exist. All they know is that I have to struggle, I want to survive, I want to have pleasure as much as I can for as long as I can. Therefore, the deadline is, the modern world wants to avoid the deadline, because the deadline confronts you to life itself. They don't want to face life. Their whole life, small l, is an escape from life with a big L. And the conclusion of this phase of your life is the deadline. Anyways, I don't know if you're able to follow me. What I'm trying to say is that your modern world is trying to run away from death in every way, shape, or form. And what I'm trying to say is that death is the deadline for this phase of life with a capital L. That means you're supposed to get something here, and that's the deadline. So this obsession with youth comes from a desperate avoidance of the deadline, which means a desperate avoidance of the responsibilities of life with a capital L and an immaturity. So when from that place, when we look, I'm young, I grow, I become old, sickly, and I die, of course you don't want that. So I'm not at the end, I'm in the middle. So I'm telling you my experience. I'm like, well, I don't ever want to be 18, 20, 25, 30 again. I'm good. And as I'm maturing, it's not I have less energy, it's that my energy is more precise and I'm doing 1,000 times more things. I don't feel I have less energy. I can say I have more energy. I'm just conserving it and investing it so much more precisely. And I don't have the energy to invest in bodybuilding like when I was 18. I don't fucking care. So for me, is it I don't have the youth of an 18-year-old to lift weights, or it's like I don't care. Right? So my outlook on youth or the different phases of your life isn't gloomy. And I'm looking at my process towards death as it's like I'm maturing, which means I'm getting closer and closer to graduation. That means I'm getting closer and closer to complete my task. I'm assigned, I have an assignment. So as I've met, my spiritual master was 73 when I met him. He looked like fucking God. If you could imagine what God in your fantasies would look like, that means he's got a white beard, he had a turban, and a little hair, and sometimes his hair was, when I looked at him, I never said he old. I'm like, this guy's God. That's what I said. I never looked at him as he's an old man. I saw the power of wisdom fully incarnated in a 75-year-old individual. I'm like, that's the height of power. But he looked like now the man that we called old is not old. That's what the height of power for a man, that's what it looks like. That's what I saw. He ain't not concerned with pussy right now. He's not concerned with cultivating his body. He's concerned, like his refinement of the understanding of power and energy and life is so precise, and his body is representing and looking like that, and he's at the end of his sojourn here. And he spoke to us like this: I have a mission, this is my mission, and I'm accomplishing my mission. And by the end of his life, because I witnessed his passing, he's like, well, my mission is accomplished. I've accomplished my mission. I'm done. I'm good to go. So do you see it when his understanding of life with a capital L and his segment of life, this is starting to get complicated. I hope you're able to follow me. I want to simplify. When he's getting to that end of his life, but his understanding and experience of life is so grand, do you think in his brain he's like, I'm dying? He's like, no, I'm graduating. And I've used my body for its purpose. Now, when he was at the end, he's like, my body's old now. I'm not going to run here and there. I'm done. I've finished my job, now I'm going to retire. So his understanding or his experience of the process of aging, although there is aging, is certainly not like your modern person who's anti-life, pretending that life is about pleasure. No, that person's anti-life, doesn't want nothing to do with life, doesn't want to get to the deadline, because the deadline means, well, you had something to do and you didn't accomplish it, so you get an F, which means you're fucked. And you know it deep inside. So I've witnessed myself, it's like, no, first of all, this man is gorgeous. He was gorgeous when he was young, and he was gorgeous when he was what I would call old, because at the time I'm 21, so for me that's an old man. I'm like, he's beautiful. He worked non-stop, all the time. Make any one of us look like pathetic. So the energy is there, but he's not concerned with the things that a guy in his 30s is concerned with. Yet he's building a international organization. Well, that's like a super company if you like. So it's not there's a fatigue. It's like, no, there's something constantly pushing him forward, which is the intent, and now I have to accomplish this, and this is what I need to finish to graduate and pass and move on. So that's my inspiration. That's how I experience things at my level. Let's say it's at a smaller level. It's like, no, if your mind is rooted in life with a capital L, and you discover what life is about and what your life is about within this greater context. So I'm here to accomplish something. So just like, let's say I want to be a medical doctor. So now I'm in pre-med. I got to study the basics of anatomy. So now I'm enjoying basics of anatomy, and it's light and it's fun and it's not so serious. And in the next grade, you start to get deeper and deeper and deeper into the thing. But the goal is to become a doctor. So the age represents the maturity in the knowledge to become a doctor. But that's a super shallow example. Let's bring it to life with a capital L. Well, the age represents the maturity in my mastering of life itself and my accomplishment of my objectives and what I was assigned, so I get to the deadline and I graduate. I'm not dying, I'm graduating. I leave. Just like when you arrive wherever you need to go, you get out of your car. I've arrived. I'm leaving now. It's not a torturous death because you're so attached, because you're anti-death, because you're anti-life, and you're terrified of what's ahead of you because you failed your exam and you are going to be graded and you know exactly the grade you're going to get. So that's why you don't want to die. And even on your last breath, you're fighting and you're holding and you're holding and you're holding and you're holding because you're so scared of what's on the other side because you ain't never done what you're supposed to do. You're going to get an F and you know it. That's why. So you see, I've witnessed people die. You see how people die. They're scared. Even though they don't say, and even though they're on medication, they're resisting. They're holding on to everything here because that's what life is for them. That's small L. That's not life. And now you're at your deadline and you never studied life or accomplished what the purpose of your life within the big life purpose. So you don't want to face the death. So now you're dying and you're dying with disease and suffering and you don't want to die because it's shit. So the aging process for you is constantly reminding you of the deadline that you want to avoid, versus the aging process is the symbol of my graduation. That's good. I like that. But then now you need to have health. And if you've watched my previous videos, I said health building is something you do even if you're 95. You're building your health. That means making sure your body is optimally tuned to the flow so that you fulfill your functions. Yeah, but at 95, if I'm at 95, I'm pretty much done my shit. So yeah, I have like, let's say you finish your report, you got to print it. Y'all, once upon a time, we used to print shit, right? So I'm done with my report. I finished writing it. Yeah, it's got proof check. Yeah, now I got to print it. So I got to go to the printer, or I got to make sure the printer here at home is printing. Fuck, there's not enough ink. Got to go get the ink. But this is the finishing touches. So at 95, you're like putting the finishing touches on your masterpiece. You don't need fucking the energy that you had when you began research when you were 20. Yeah, you're done. You're exhaling. You're only exhaling. You're already preparing your celebration because you're already done. You know that in a minute you're giving your paper in and you know it's a fucking A, like Kevin Arnold. Yeah, this is an A. I got an A. Here it is. And which means that you're about to start the next phase of life with a capital L. But do I need the energy of a 20-year-old who has now like to be like in this like storm of possibilities? No, I'm done, dude. I've gone through this. I've gone through the process. I've pushed forward. I spent like 50 years in the libraries doing the research. I've applied it. I've tested it. I've seen the result. I've made a mistake. I've corrected it. I'm like, my thesis is done. Here it is. And now I'm just at the printing phase. So does my old look, is it a bad thing or a symbol of my greatness? And a symbol of my graduation and the symbol of the power that I have because I was able to go across it, get through life, my life, and graduate, and you know it's an A. You're a master. And when people come at you, they go like this, not because you have titles, because you're everything about you makes the whole earth shake. Because you have so much fucking life power, and you're fucking 90. I met a 93-year-old saint. Saint, not like you imagine saint. That means a guy who's graduating. And I was just in his presence. I'm like, I don't know where to put myself. I'm too fucking high. This guy's too fucking powerful. I don't know where to put myself. I think I'm gonna leave because I need a break. Because this is too intense. This is a 93-year-old dude. You think he's feeble if you didn't know him. So this guy's like, he's more powerful now than he was a week ago. I can assure you that. So, but he looks the role. He's not, do you understand? So that's how I'm being taught, because I didn't think like this. I come from like everybody else. I come from the world that you never want to be old, because at old age you're ugly, you're weak, you're disgusting, you're this, you're not gonna get laid, right? This is how we think, right? So I come from that world where you're against life because you think life is trying to kill you. And what I'm being reprogrammed to discover is what I'm trying to share with you on my channel. It's like, no, that's not at all what it is. In the greater understanding of life with a capital L, your maturity comes with the shiningness of white. Gandalf the White. He can't have the impact. You saw Gandalf the Grey? You saw him? Then he comes as Gandalf the White. Who do you have reverence for? It's the same motherfucker, same fucking actor. Who makes you go like, the guy in gray? That means in between youth and wisdom? Or the guy in white that just makes you just silence? Well, that's the symbol of that, at least in an aligned experience of Kali Yuga. This is very powerful that I just said. I'm going to say it again for those of you who have ears to hear. In an aligned experience of Kali Yuga, this is the symbol of graduation. In a different time, it'll be completely different, but this is what it is. So it's not. So nature is not against you. It's not trying to make you ugly. No, if you build your health throughout your life, which is something you can learn, which you haven't learned because ain't nobody teaching you that, especially not the fucking medical system that doesn't give a fuck about you. Let's not get into that shit. I'm gonna try to stay in my compassion zone. Right? So you're not sickly when you're mature. You're graduating. You're feeling great. You're feeling light. You've never been as light. Maybe when you were a little child and you had no responsibility, this is the only time you were as light. When you're a little child and you're born, let's pretend your mom is not a psychopath and your dad is not a weakling and you're in a perfect circumstances. You're carefree. You're in the bliss of mom. So the rest of your life is just the struggle of going through the process, and then now you're about to hand in the paper. You're absolutely carefree. But no longer, you can hold your own head up and you can walk, you can take a shit, you don't need nobody to take care of it, but you're like at the peak of your contentment, peace, bliss, whatever it is, all of it wrapped into one. I don't want to say the word happy, but exactly. I'm like, fuck. It's as if I knew what I was talking about. It's because I saw it. So I'm kind of conveying to you what I saw. And I'm conveying to you what I'm learning, which is what I saw. But I'm at 40. We'll see what happens then. But I trust. I saw it. I witnessed it. I touched it. I was in the aura of it.